Oh. Let's go. What is it, 65? What's 100 take away 25? 75, 85, 95, 100, Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I have decided that I'm going to continue the topic of mortgages. A lot of you guys had a lot of really good questions around that, so thank you guys that have been sending me messages, emails, etc, etc. So today's topic is basically going to be around two common terms when dealing with mortgages. So the first one is going to be explaining to you guys what a family springboard mortgage is. The second one is going to be in regards to what a shared ownership mortgage is and the pros and cons. And I just think it's a really nice way to build up your knowledge on mortgages. I understand that we are under a global pandemic, so I am going to discuss, if you currently have a mortgage, how that is going to be impacted by the coronavirus. So let's discuss what a springboard mortgage is. If you watched my previous video, I explained to you that the way a mortgage works is you obviously put a deposit down and you take out a loan essentially for the rest of the money to own that property. Now the question arises, in your kind of early and mid 20s, even 30s, where are you going to get a deposit like that? Essentially, the idea of a family springboard mortgage, you can't, or if you don't think that you'll be able to save up that deposit, a friend, a family member, or anyone willing to help you really that has that money already, the idea is that they will essentially tie up that money for 5 years at a fixed interest rate, and that will kind of be your deposit in a sense. Let me explain that all again.
You have £20,000 that you need to save up for this property, and rich Uncle Bernard has £20,000 because he's rich and he has his own business and things like that. You go to rich Uncle Bernard and you say to him, can you tie up £20,000 for 5 years at a high interest rate in order for me to get my mortgage? Rich Uncle Bernard loves you very much and says, yes, that's not a problem. So what happens is he puts this £20,000 into something called a helpful start account. It's like a mortgage account, however, for the person that's putting in this deposit. It's basically like a 5-year fixed savings account, and he will be offered a really, really good interest rate that is much higher than what is out there on the market. So all you're asking rich Uncle Bernard to do is not touch his £20,000 for 5 years. He'll make back a certain amount of percentage on top of that, so he'll actually make money from this as well. And obviously you will then be able to get your mortgage on 0% deposit.
I do have to make you aware though that any missed mortgage payments throughout the term of the 5 years will impact rich Uncle Bernard in terms of him being able to take his money out. So you do have to have a really good relationship with the person. I think that's the best way. So an important thing for you guys to know, you actually have to be accepted on affordability for the entire mortgage. For the entire mortgage. What I mean by that is they are not going to assess your affordability based on the loan to value ratio, i.e. the 80% that you want to borrow. They're going to assess your affordability for the entire mortgage. It can be a little bit complicated if your salary isn't high enough, or if they feel like you won't be able to meet the monthly repayment. Oh, another tip that I also read is that you can actually just fix your mortgage for 5 years, and that way you know that your mortgage payments are not going to change for 5 years, and it's kind of a clear-cut agreement between yourself and the person helping you. If you don't know what a fixed mortgage is, I'm not explaining that. Go to my previous video. So the next thing I want to discuss is a shared ownership, and how does it work? Basically, a shared ownership on a property means that you can actually buy a share of the property. So that part is going to be mortgaged. Let's say a mortgage is 100%, right? So whether you take out the mortgage on a whole, whether you put the 10% down and borrow the rest of the money, you are still making up the whole 100% of the property, which means it is yours. With a shared ownership, you are able to take out, let's just use the word mortgage. You're able to take out a mortgage or own a certain percentage of that property, and that can be anywhere between 25 to 75% usually. Instead of taking out a mortgage on the whole house, you are taking out let's just use an example, you're taking out a mortgage on 25% of the house. So 25% of the mortgage, of the property belongs to you. What happens to the rest of the 75%? Well, you don't own that part of the property, so you will pay rent. However, it will be much less than the market value. You will also have to pay any kind of ground rent and service charges and things like that. Pros, why do people actually even consider this? Because initially I thought the same thing, is you're taking out a mortgage and you're still renting. Like, what is the point? So it's really good for young people, because you are actually climbing up the property ladder. You owning 25% of the property is actually better than you owning nothing and you paying rent. Secondly, the deposits are much lower. The deposits are much lower for a shared ownership, because you're only doing a mortgage on that share. So instead of the whole property value, you are literally, I don't know why I keep doing, like, who's sitting there? You are literally paying the mortgage on the percentage that you own. So inevitably your deposit will be much less. More affordable in terms of salary wise. So when you come to do your affordability and they have to tell you whether the bank can lend you money or not, the chances are much higher, because the amount that you want is much less. Also, your monthly repayments are still lower than renting, and they can actually work out cheaper than an outright mortgage too, depending where you obviously live and how lucky you are with rent. You can sell your share at any time. So again, the same thing with like how you would sell your house and go somewhere else. Instead of selling your house, you just sell the share. So again, like I said, it's an asset that you have. You can sell it when you want. You can sell your share of that, so you will get some money back when you move, as opposed to renting. When you leave, the landlord laps up all your money and you carry on in your renting dream. What are the cons of a shared ownership? You actually have to pay the full price of your rent and service charge, no matter what percentage of the property that you own. Also, if your share exceeds 80%, you do have to pay stamp duty, land tax on the whole property. At that point, I will really question why you are doing a shared ownership. And also, there still may be restrictions on what home improvements you can do in terms of structure-wise, so the outside of your house. So you are free to do what you like in terms of interior decorations and things like that, but in terms of like conservatories and doing the garden and adding a driveway, things like that, if it's a flat, you wouldn't really, or an apartment, you really wouldn't, I mean, I don't know, changing the front door. So hopefully you guys have understood about family springboard mortgages and shared ownership schemes. I am going to just quickly run through what you guys can do if you have a mortgage and let's say you've lost your job. If anything is happening during this period where you cannot afford to pay your mortgage, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard about this 3-month payment holiday. The government have introduced a new scheme in which you can actually take a 3-month break on your mortgage. No, it does not impact your credit score. So I think a lot of things right now are frozen as it stands. 100% for your mortgage payment holiday, you will not be impacted. So you will not get blacklisted. It will not count as a missed payment or anything like that. The only way it will count as a missed payment is if you haven't spoken to your mortgage advisor, or let me find the right word for it. Lender, that's the word. I got this information directly from the Financial Conduct Authority, so if anyone has got something to say, please don't say it to me, go to them. Something that you need to know is that you will still owe interest on every day or every month, however it's accrued. So just because you're not paying anything for 3 months, what you will find is that you have more to pay, obviously, because there's interest that's being added on top of it all. The way that this will be worked out, though, is you will basically come to a decision later on whether you are going to maybe pay a little bit higher than what you usually pay a month to pay off the interest as well, or whether you're going to extend the term of your mortgage. Also, just for anybody wondering about repossessed homes, if you're worried, from what I've read, the government have actually just put a stop to that. So lenders should not be repossessing any homes at present. I think it's quite unfair to do that anyway. Yeah. So that's all from me, guys, today. Like I said, just really quick, not quick, but just a top up on your mortgage knowledge, so that when the lockdown's out, just in case all the interest rates like go crazy and the house prices are just ridiculously cheap, you guys know what to do, okay? I might be like a psychic preparing you for the future, so don't miss out on this information. Any questions, anything like that, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. I want to know what you guys think. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at DeeTalks_. So that's all from me. Hopefully you guys have learned something new today, as always, and I will speak to you guys next week.